at the casting desk.
He gets dropped Kirby now in a 1 versus 4. Oh my goodness! Oh, Kirby with 3! Are you going to pull off the racket play? Kirby gets the clutch! Are you serious?
Well, there we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome to an episode of State of CS, and it's a special one because we just made the big announcement today that the team has grown. 3 members. One of them happens to be here with us today. But my name is Semler, with me Anders, and with us Yanko. So YNK. And you guys can't see me, but I can see you, and you both look fabulous. So how's it going, guys? You all right?
Yeah, it's been awesome. I mean, a couple of days, waiting for everything to be ready for the announcement. So really excited that it's actually official now. So yeah, pretty awesome day for sure.
Yeah, having a really good time. Trying to redesign my room and just trying to catch up with everything. So yeah, I'm in a good mood today, and the weather is nice outside, so the sun's shining in my face. I haven't put up a curtain yet. It's all good.
I know, right? People who don't live in Scandinavia, well, maybe if they live in like Washington in the States or something along those lines, they'll understand that it's been really rainy, and that's just how it is now because summer is gone. It's over. We had 2 weeks of summer in Scandinavia, and that's it. Now it's just back to rain and ugliness and just, tears and sadness, basically. Everybody looks so depressed here, man. It's nuts.
We need more global warming, basically, is what it comes down to.
That's what I'm saying, bro. That's
more
what
of that.
saying. I mean, Diego, you've been in, Cologne now for a couple of weeks. It's supposed to be pretty hot over there, right?
Yeah, it's actually nice. I prefer summer and sun over everything. Basically, it's how the weather is like mostly in Serbia. So Cologne's pretty nice. Unlike when I had to spend a lot of time in London, like in the spring, it's always cloudy and stuff. Makes you really depressed, to be honest. Like, I don't know how those people endure it, to be fair.
I mean, that's the thing, man. Don't complain about our weather. I will, because I live here and I've lived here for a while now. So I feel like, honorary Swede can definitely talk a little bit of smack about the weather. That's all right. And I mean, yeah, it's depressing because that's it, man. It's like the window is closed. Then again, for those of us who don't live in places where there are actually seasons, they're just like, lol, what are you guys talking about? It's 80 degrees outside and sunny, get wrecked. But we took this choice. We made this choice.
Not suffer.
So there we go. Well, some of us didn't have a choice. Anders is still in Denmark. I mean, but
yeah. Look, when you live here for long enough, eventually you just stop caring. It's just one of those things you have to live with. So just get used to it. Stop complaining. That's all there is. Look, I mean, how do we want to get this done? I'm assuming we're not just here to talk about the weather, even though we do have the weatherman with us. I feel like we should still try and move on. So, what's the first topic?
I mean, the first topic is, I guess, the obvious one, right? Like, played the video. You know what? I like the video so much. We're going to play it again. We're going to play the video again.
All right, good.
I'm that guy. Get out of here.
Here at the casting desk.
He gets dropped Kirby now in a 1 versus 4. Oh my goodness! Oh, Kirby with 3! Are you going to pull off the racket play? Kirby gets the clutch! Are you serious?
Nice. I mean, that's some of the news that just came out today, finally. Like, we've actually managed to put a video together that had some information in it. Pretty cool cut. Big shout out to Philly and CS, who handled the editing of the movie, putting everything together. A lot of the footage he actually got as well, so it's been cool. It's the guy who basically comes with us to events and does the post event videos and everything like that that you can find on our YouTube. Shameless plug.
Yeah, and I just put the link to his Twitter in the chat so people can check it out if they want. Definitely give him some feedback. Also tagged up as the creative director and partnerships for Room on Fire. So definitely a cool guy. You should definitely do, and go and follow him and give him any feedback that you feel like. He'll definitely appreciate it. So now,
Right.
go on.
I mean,
I was going to say, people are already asking in the chat, what does it even mean to be a part of Room on Fire? What even is that? So do you wanna explain, Sam? Maybe just a little bit.
I can try. I mean, it's still all like a big jumble in my head right now as far as what Room on Fire is. It started out as a stream, basically. Anders and I, we were doing Nip Gaming TV, and when we separated from Nip Gaming TV, it became Room on Fire. That was after months of banging our heads on the table trying to figure out a name, and then it was between Room on Fire and Midnight Express, and we couldn't go with the second one for obvious reasons, and so we went with Room on Fire instead. I think that was a pretty good choice. Sounds good. Got a nice ring to it, and but at the time, we weren't able to stream as many games. We did one tournament, Case King of the Hill, that people still remember, and you know, definitely haven't given up on that. But we did one tournament, and then we just started having such a busy schedule with the tournaments, and the tournament organizers also having their own content on their own streams, that, you know, the stream kind of died out. It didn't really, we didn't really do too much with it afterwards. We were so taken up with everything that it kind of just, you know, basically went on hiatus. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. It's pretty much where Room on Fire started, or like the origins of Room on Fire. So it was a brand, right? It was more a brand than anything. And now what has happened very recently, right, is that Vendetta's been here since the start, casting with us. Moses has joined up as well, and then today we can basically say that, you know, now Room on Fire, it's no longer just a brand, it's a company. And we have 3 new commentators, analysts, guys who've joined up. And so it's like at the base right now, what we're starting to do is to just try and create a bit of a content hub that will go around Room on Fire. It's everybody, you know, who's a part of Room on Fire. They're all streaming. They're all creating video content. They're all basically, you know, I mean, guys that we listen to in CS. And so we wanted to try and create a little bit of a hub for that. So if you're a CS fan, you know, I can go to Room on Fire's YouTube. I can go to their Twitch stream. I can go to any of these guys' YouTubes, and I'll find content, right, to talk about the game, details, strategies, all sorts of things, podcasts, you know. So that's to start, right? The other idea behind Room on Fire down the road, what's going to be discussed, is, you know, how to try and find a way to make it so that freelance commentators, independent commentators, can kind of come together and work together as a group. And so that's down the road what we're trying to look at right now. And it's not just for CS, it's for all games. We want to try and open it up and see, can there be some kind of structure, something to actually build off of there for the future of esports, because it still feels like esports is very young. There's a lot of room to grow. There's a lot of things to talk about even. And so we want to try and be the ones to see if we can take that first step and see if it's possible, right? So, I mean, Anders, do you have anything that I missed? Did I miss anything? I mean, it's still so broad.
I mean, you missed the obviously the important point is so that we can all, you know, make the money, right? That's what it's all about. So you know, that's the key of it. I can't actually see anything through these. I have to take them off again, but
no.
I was cleaning my room and I found this in a box and I thought it's perfect. You know
what? I was cleaning my room and I found something in my box too. And so what I'm gonna say is, right? You know, if you don't pay us the money,
Jesus.
We have to
we're gonna send somebody to have a conversation with you, and it ain't gonna be pretty. So just saying.
Perfect. I love it. I absolutely love it. Yeah,
I'll send Thorin over there to have a talk.
Oh, I see it now.
That's perfect.
The dawn.
Absolutely perfect. Yeah, so I mean, no, that's basically what it's down to. And I mean, it's something that's going to continue to grow and expand over a while. And we're all super excited. Even you, Janko, you're excited too. I'm telling you right now.
Of course I am. It's finally, I've been neglecting like the content side of things, the videos I started doing in the spring pretty much. I haven't done one in a long while. So I realized I like doing those videos from time to time. You know, I was having the excuse that I didn't have a lot of time because of tournaments, but that wasn't really true. I was just lazy more than anything else. And now with this becoming official, now I'm going to get back to, you know, trying to produce it more regularly, and that applies not just to, you know, what we did, you know, your theory craft videos and everything. Now that, you know, we have more people in the group, there's actually, you know, more options for creating content, and that's something that we also hope to do, right? To provide content for you guys, the viewers, on a pretty much regular basis. You know, something more in depth, more connected to the game, something more broad, like talk shows or, you know, some interesting stuff for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, you touched on the important point there is that there is there are people behind the scenes as well who are helping with all of this, and that's Philly. I mean, Phillian stands out as the big one because he's basically going to be responsible for the content plan that we're trying to roll out right now, and so there's going to be a bit of structure to it. What we want there to be is everybody has their skills, right? And already are doing content that interests them. And so it's not a matter of like changing that content. It's a matter of trying to bring it together in a bit of a structured way so that when you go to the YouTube channel for Room on Fire, for example, you will be able to see in the playlist, right? Yanko breaking down games, Moses interviews, the vlogs, Coffee and Semler, Theorycraft. There's going to be a bunch of different content there. And then the idea is to release that content steadily, aiming to get up to daily, right, where we'll be able to, you guys are constantly going to have a lot of fun, basically, to be able to tune in and see all sorts of different content. And so, I mean, that's the thing, right? Now it's all about like, all right, guys, nose to the grindstone, let's go. And it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's exciting. I think that's what I'm trying to say, right? It's exciting to think, right, okay, we can start really trying to grow something here and really just revitalize Room on Fire, because it's been quite some time since Room on Fire, hasn't really been active, creating anything. And so, it's been spotty, it's been here and there, right? A couple of YouTube videos. And so now it's more about, right, what can we do to actually grow it, right?
Pretty much. So now that we've sort of covered that, should we look at the first topic at hand that we were going to? Well, I mean, I'm just going down the list of news actually just to check that out.
Right.
So there's Epicenter in Moscow. Any of you two ever been to Russia before?
No.
Because that's actually one of the countries I haven't been to.
I've been to White Russia.
That's not quite the same thing. I've been to Ukraine as well. Still not the same thing either.
I haven't been to Russia either. Interestingly enough, since I'm Serbian, I guess a lot of people assume that we just, every chance we get, we go to Russia, because they're like our big brother or whatever.
In a sinister way, I see what you're saying. So I mean, huge tournament, obviously, $500,000 in Moscow. I mean, that's gotta be by a really wide margin the biggest prize pool we've had in sort of in Counter-Strike in Russia, at least. That's pretty mad. They did something for Dota, didn't they? That was quite remarkable.
I think that's what you can get really hype about, right? Is that like not following that many Dota tournaments these days, but all of a sudden I hear everybody talking about this Epicenter, and I look at my Twitter feed, and it's guys posting pictures of this stage. It's just like, what is this? It was like a carved Roshan, like holding the players and like the screens, and then they had like overlay graphics going onto the stage itself, painting it like, I don't know, augmented reality or something. It was nuts. So
they had like feature when a hero would throw an ultimate, like Queen of Pain with the wave. It would actually go through the arena, kind of on the roof. Basically, they would have an animation of sorts. That was pretty insane.
Dude, exactly.
Nice.
Like that's the thing, right? It's just like, okay. I mean, seems like that was obviously their big tournament that they were like obviously front loading and putting a lot of work into, right? All the details seem to be there, but kind of gets your hopes up for CS, right? Like, what are they going to come up with to do Counter-Strike? What's going to change, or are they going to find anything apart from just a really flashy stage or something like that other tournament organizers haven't thought of yet, haven't tried to do yet? And so I'm super excited, man. It looks sick. It's after watching the Dota 2, I think it's pretty hard to say to think otherwise, right? It's gonna be pretty dope, it looks like.
And just to point out as well that the 6 teams that are invited are G2, Virtus Pro, Fnatic, SK, Navi, NiP, and then we've got an EU qualifier and a CIS qualifier. So what do you make of that? I mean, good chance, I guess, in the CIS qualifier that Navi will find their way through.
Navi's already there.
Yeah,
Navi. Sorry. Oh, am I? Oh, yeah. I'm silly. Well, then the EU qualifier, Astralis obviously going to find their way through, right? Please.
No.
Please.
Do you think it?
Come on.
It's been too long.
They're going to win the next major. That's what I'm saying.
I'm a big
calling
fan
it
of
now.
What was it? The analogy, the comparison, the image that I painted the other day with Moses, because Moses was talking about it too. Actually, we were talking about it together. We were just like, hey, Astralis, and for me, they're like the little train that could. And really tried. They got so close, and then it got icy out or something, and the rails got all covered in ice, and they kind of started skating in place. And then they obviously needed to look for shelter from the storm, so they went into a tunnel, and then in that tunnel they decided to brick the entrance of the tunnel, to protect themselves, obviously, from the cold and the elements. And and yet now this tunnel, turns out there were different branches in this tunnel, and they've just been wandering in this tunnel, never to emerge back into the light again, it seems, because they lost their way. What's going on?
Tactics.
It's the little engine that bricked itself into a tunnel and never figured out how to get out again. Like, what is going on?
Saving tactics. That's what I'm saying.
Of course. I mean, it's going to be tough in both of the qualifiers. For the CIS one, you obviously have Flipside, Gambit, Hellraisers. Those are probably the three biggest names in the CIS outside Navi. While in the EU one, I think the biggest one is Godsend, right? With 4 of the 5 players from the old Fnatic roster. Also, of course, Astralis, FaZe, Mouse Sports is there as well with Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it can get pretty interesting.
Which is your favorite team to end up qualifying then? Who do you think is going to make it? Because you just listed a bunch of teams, and I said mine.
I mean, I'm obviously cheering for Mouse Sports because of Nico and Kassad, but I think realistically, it's probably going to be Godsend when you look at it.
Yeah. I mean, the Schneider, JW, well, the quad, basically, back together now. I mean, that's pretty sick. It's Crims who's the odd man out. That's like pretty much the DreamHack Winter 2013 lineup. So I'm just curious. Like, I think Godsend stand a good chance if JW can beat JW again. But then I think that Valve are doing the best they can to make sure that he can never be the JW again that we remember all so fondly. So
or that he can even be, a greater JW with a jumping accuracy.
Dude.
Now he can not just bunny hop around, he can literally jump and shoot at people. I think that's his dream come true.
The thing is,
do
you reckon he like messages Cold late at night, and he's just like, Cold, you must take me under your wing, teach me your secrets on how to hit jumping shots and completely wreck dreams. Because I mean, J-Dub still has some of the sickest movement in the game, no doubt, but it feels like it's been a long time since he's been able to be comfortable enough to show it, right?
Okay, Yanko, so you've got Godsend, I've got Astralis. Who do you have similar for qualifying for the EU1?
Ooh. Well, you know what? It's time to get our baguettes out and put them on the table. I got Envy.
All right. So
I've got Envy. Not qualifying, obviously. They're going to go down in flames. So who actually stands a chance? I just threw that baguette out the window. Just saying.
See,
it's a stale baguette, moldy baguette. Needs to get checked out.
Where is that?
So
yeah, I'm trying to figure out where it is.
I'm trying to think right here as well. Like, okay, Godsend, Mouse Sports. I mean, the thing is, I almost put faith in the Danish scene, not in Astralis, but in the likes of Dignitas and Heroic. To be frank, right now, I feel like Heroic are just playing out of their minds.
Samuel wants the French to succeed so hard. He's like putting them in qualifiers where they're not even playing.
Yeah, that's right. The management. Of course. Yeah. So obviously they're not going to. The management said no or something like that.
Already invited, so there is some hope for you, Sam. There is some hope.
Okay.
You can
G2 are still here.
They have Kirishima.
Okay, that's right.
That's the closest you can get.
I could say then. I think that I was going to go for the reverse jinx, and that I would say a Danish team, and then obviously Envy would win. But I guess that's not going to work anymore. So I'm going to say Heroic to take it because I think that they're playing out of their minds right now. They're looking pretty damn good.
Yeah, I mean they beat Dignitas, didn't they, on LAN? Even if they had a standard and everything, I still think that's fucked up. I don't think Dignitas should have lost that game. I don't know.
Yeah, they beat Astralis as well. Before that, they beat Astralis in the semis, then Dignitas in the finals.
Yeah, what's wrong with the Danish scene? Like, I can't even. It's too much at this point.
It's business as usual, of course. Full of upsets. No one can predict that. I mean, the Heroic was boot camping before that tournament, and while they were playing a couple of games in Pro League, they beat Astralis 2-0 in Pro League as well. But that was probably their first game after the holiday season and everything. So you would think that Astralis, when it comes to actually LAN, this is where they really show up. This is where they have the upper hand. Things are going to fall back in order pretty much, but it just didn't happen. And Device was really I think it was pretty obvious that he was rusty after the holidays. He was one of the worst performers for the team when he, throughout the year, was the most consistent one, putting big numbers in big games all the time and everything. But, after those couple shaky results, he put in the hours pretty much. I think he's back at 100 hours in 2 weeks now. So you could definitely see it even yesterday in their game against FaZe in Pro League that, he's getting back to his level of play slowly.
Anas?
I was just wondering how much we should put into some of the new guys. The new guy, like on Heroic, Valda, or Valda, if you want to go Danish with it.
Never go full Dane.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Who's on this team? I mean, a lot of people have been talking about him as one of the guys who put in a lot of the work. I think when they beat Dignitas, he was one of the top performers in that game. So. What do you think? I mean, the Danish scene has succeeded in churning out like a lot of talent over the years. Do you think he's gonna be one of them?
I mean, it feels to me like it's nuts how deep the Danish scene goes right now. Like it just seems like they just keep finding new talent who can compete. Whereas in the what's weird is like the French scene seems to be super stable, right? With just like who's at the top right now, and it's not even an option to discuss going back down. Right? We've seen what happened with Body and Devil. You start reaching into the sub top, and they don't really step up and shine the way others seem to have done from the Scandinavian regions. I mean, I guess the latest that we have from Sweden is Lekro, right? Who really stood out at DreamHack Masters, but then that was a long time ago. It feels like now, back in April. April. So I mean,
yeah,
it's but at least in the Scandinavian regions, Sweden not so much, but Denmark just seems to be like consistently finding talent to bring up here. So should we be watching Valda? How do you say it? Velda. So should we be watching Velda? Or not? Yes, I definitely think so. Same way that I'm watching Lekro, right? Like it's still early days, but it's going to be super interesting to see like where they go, right?
Yeah,
Doplan, right? I mean, with a name like that, the guy has got to succeed.
I think he's also younger than. I think Lekro has over 20 years. I mean, not saying he's old, but he's a new player, but not necessarily as young. While Valde is something like 18, I think.
Yeah, he's younger. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we can get his birthday in a second here if we want.
But yeah, I mean, it's obviously it's good that you bring it up.
He's actually 21, Velda.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I checked as well.
21 years old.
I mean, in my opinion, that's still pretty young. Let's not go there, but it's good that you bring up Disco Doplan, because obviously he's someone who's been impressing as well, and been having a really good time of it. And I think it's healthy for the scene that new people keep coming up and showing up and helping out. What I'm wondering is, are there enough old timers around to help them out? Like that goes for the Swedish and the Danish scene both. We have in the Danish scene, I suppose, obviously Carrigan is busy with Astralis, Glaive playing with Heroic and everything. That's good fun. Like some of those people have a lot of experience, right? Fetish, I don't know what he's doing, but
of course.
Isn't he a teacher? Yeah. Isn't he like a teacher somewhere in Denmark?
He's a teacher, and there was some talk about him coming back and playing, and I think there was some talk like that. But the fact is, like, we did, for the new talent to grow in a reasonable direction, because I think that almost the default for new talent is to just become like super aim stars and then be very stupid at playing the game, which is a shame, because if you can just have a little bit of help, you could have like a more all-round game. And I think both the Danish and the Swedish scene need more people like that who have a lot of experience in helping out. That'd be cool. So I don't know how to achieve that, but certainly it's now that they're showing up, there's potential for people to start making new teams. Whereas for a while in the Danish scene, it seemed like Astralis was the only team that was going to be possible. Like even Dignitas didn't look like a fair second, team. They just looked like they were not really doing anything. And that's obviously changed fairly quickly now. I don't know if that's Astralis just not doing as well or anything, but still, it's exciting if we can have more than one team per country, that could do well.
What I wonder is whether or not, this is like on an unrelated topic, right? But we have more teams that are getting backed that are player owned, right? Astralis, I guess, was the main one that really kind of led the way there, led the charge. And I almost wonder if that's kind of hurt them in a way, because they're so closely tied into the business side of things now. that is this additional pressure coming into them where they're thinking, right, okay, if we don't do well, not only will we not succeed, but our company that we are running will not succeed, and it's just going to get harder. Like if that's an additional layer of pressure that's been put on them on top of everything else, doesn't look super. I mean, I don't know. It's like we have to. I kind of feel like so we have the example of Astralis. They've always kind of struggled though with the mind game, right? So maybe that's a factor. But now we actually have two other teams, Heroic and Godsent, to keep an eye on as well when it comes to that. When it comes to that angle, right? Of if you're a player-owned org, does that impact your game? Does that add additional pressure? Does that make you worry a bit more, or is it just something that you can keep going with, the same way that other teams like, I don't know, Fnatic, they don't really care about the org so much. That's not their problem. Their problem is play CS, and if Fnatic fails, they just go somewhere else. Yeah,
I'm wondering, Yanko, how would that affect you? I mean, you could argue the other way. You could also say, what happens if you're a player-owned organization and you're pleasing your sponsors, so you're making enough money to to go on living? Do you have the incentive to then work an extra 20-30%, or like if you're your own boss, then yeah, you could get a lot of work done because you're directly profiting from it, or you could get just sort of bare minimum done because no one's gonna sort of tell you to do more work. Like I don't know how that fits maybe it's just individual. That would be the boring answer, but like what do you think?
I think it goes both ways, but it's really important not to allow the business aspect of things to interfere with your play, right? If you're really invested in all the business decisions and the growth of the team, then if it gets rough, if you have a lot of stuff on your plate, then you can't really focus on the game as much, especially if maybe if you're the in-game leader as well, the guy who's supposed to handle most of the business aspect, well, then that's just pretty impossible. The whole of your day will go on, dealing with business, then, practicing with the team and thinking of new stuff you're supposed to do and fixing mistakes and so on. So I think it's really important. I think player-owned teams are, I'm okay with it. It's good stuff, but you always need to hire a manager, or you need to hire someone from the outside whose sole responsibility is to take that pressure off of you and take that workload, so you can focus mostly on the game. And then when it comes to making a group decision or whatever related to business, are we going to make a deal with this sponsor or that sponsor? You can just weigh in and spend some time discussing it and researching it. But on a day-to-day basis, you really should have someone from the outside dealing with that for you.
I just wonder about like how, because at that point, that person on the outside, it's almost as if they shouldn't even be interacting with the players whatsoever. Just like keep them fully insulated, go the other way, where it's just like, you guys focus on the game. I'm here on my side, and never the two shall meet, right? Like never, there's no business discussion apart from your quarterly, report that you get, or something along those lines, right? But the players, I just wonder if it is possible, even if you want to have that step back, right? That insulation for the players, if it still isn't kind of wiggling its way into the players' minds as far as there's just that additional layer no matter what you do.
That's why I think that maybe the best model would be to just have orgs who are willing to give more to the players. I think Envious does this. I'm not 100% sure that out of every sponsor deal they make as an org, the players get a percentage of it, right, as a bonus. It's not a lot, but it's still something that you would be motivated as a player. You would know that if you perform well and the whole org performs well, that you will get something out of it, because it really is. I think people underestimate how much work it is to actually own an org and deal with all the stuff, the sponsors, the travel, the bookings, there's a wide range of things you need to deal with. It's not as simple as people think, and if all the players are invested in that, I think it's maybe too big of a distraction.
So just because we're on this topic anyway, I remember I think up to like a year ago when I was talking to teams, when this sort of topic first came up and people started discussing it a little bit behind the scenes, I think one of the main sort of points of frustrations that a lot of players had was they felt there was almost no transparency, right? They didn't know how much the organization was making from their brands, if they did well in a tournament, how much would they make in return? And, was the organization shoveling in like millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars, or were they, losing money all the while? Like those things really matter, right? And I think that lack of transparency is actually what's pushed a lot of people into thinking, well, maybe we should do this on our own. So I mean, as far as I know, for instance, Envy is I think are more transparent with what they're doing, and maybe that helps out some of the players in sort of saying, well, okay, as long as I know, and I don't feel like I'm being treated unfairly, then I'm all right with it. And I think, but I mean, I can understand that. I think it must be weird to go to work and not necessarily not have any clue. Like I think you need like a ballpark at least. You know, how much am I making for this organization? That works kind of both ways. So yeah, I think transparency can be helpful in this context.
I think it's also the esports is growing so fast. I mean, you look at 2 years ago and the commitments that players had and what they now have with some of these orgs traveling to fairs, to events, doing sponsor stuff, having to do things at tournaments as well, maybe some streaming hours and so on. So when players put that on a scale, on one side you have all your commitments and the other side you have what you get for it, right? You get a salary and you get paid travel and hotels, but nowadays that's mostly the organizers do that for you as a part of qualifying or being invited for an event. So more and more players feel like the amount of work they're putting in for the org, they're not getting enough in return for it. So we're either going to see orgs giving more to players, or we're just going to see more player-owned orgs, I feel like.
Curious to see, actually. I wonder, because we like right now, I think excuse me, all of these orgs on the org side, right? Some of the orgs must be flipping out because of this, like G2A, etc. G2A Kingwin struggling, and now the gambling sites struggling. You have to wonder if all of that money, basically, that was being pumped into the orgs, is that going to have an impact on the player salaries? Like, how are because like for the endemic sponsors, right? It feels like the orgs have to do a lot. They have to work a lot to get the activations and promote the products and try and wear the headsets, use our mice, all this sort of stuff, right? And it was hard to get that money. Now, I mean, with the gambling scenes and all that sort of thing coming into it, it seemed like, okay, there was a lot of money. Maybe they didn't have to do too much to actually earn it, but that was allowing them to pay the players more. Is there going to be some kind of crash now in the player salaries because all of a sudden, a lot of money just got sucked out of the scene and the team's sort of scenario now? So is it the right time for a player org to come up? Because then you're just talking about, okay, you cut out the middleman. There's no org costs apart from what is directly impacting us, or are we going to see bigger orgs struggle? I mean, I would think the latter right now, or at least I think the bigger orgs right now are going to be trying to figure out, okay, wait, how do we shift this around, because we're paying these guys a lot of money right now.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's the sort of information I wish we had a little bit more of, because it's obviously very interesting and it's sort of relevant. I'm thinking that those sponsorships from the different skin sites and all that stuff will be replaced within the next 6 months or something by sort of real betting sites where you can go and bet real money and all that stuff. I suspect that's what's going to happen, because, and in a way, that's what should have happened in the beginning, because if you are an organization, it must be you must sleep better at night anyway, knowing that you're promoting a product that is that's sort of more safe. Like, at least you can point to like football and say, well, these guys are doing it too, so why can't we? Like it's that sort of stuff. Yeah, exactly. Like it's just a little bit more legitimate than the skins part of it. So I think that should have happened anyway. I just think the problem is the sort of the real betting sponsors would have to compete against an unregulated skin market, and there's no way you can do that. One is having to deal with real regulation and having to deal with actual real life rules, and the other one has no rules at all and can just do whatever they want. So that makes it really tough. And I think that's hopefully I have sort of chosen the view that says long term it's actually pretty good for all of us. It helps out in allowing sort of the more legitimate sponsors to come into the market, and they obviously have a lot of money as well. So that could be fun. I hope so.
They do.
They do have the Skrilla, yes. And I mean, but I am interested, and I would love. We should probably try and track it. What's the performance rate of sort of player-owned teams, and just see where that goes. That's long term.
Right, yeah, coming, I guess, full circle right back to the main point. It is going to be interesting now to see that we have two more teams that are run in this fashion, and so we can see Astralis. Maybe that's a different scenario, but maybe with three, we can start to actually get a little bit of a picture there on the impact that it has on a player's mind. I mean, still not a huge pool to draw from. I mean, much better to have like 16 teams. I don't know, but like right now, at
They're
least it
gonna
seems
win
like
the
it's
next
gonna be
major.
interesting. Astralis?
Yeah.
Stop it, please. Anders. It's enough. It's been enough.
Come on. If I keep saying it, it'll be true one day, and that's all that matters, really.
It has to happen eventually, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah. Speaking of major winning teams or teams that have actually won at least one major, NIP they're playing with Michael now because obviously Pith is out due to an injury, a hand injury, which is unfortunate. It seems to be something that's happening more and more, which is I guess it's no surprise really.
No.
When you're playing this much, but that means Michael is back, and we haven't heard anything from him for a long time. Does anyone want to guess at why we haven't? Because he seems to be like a fan favorite at times, right?
It just seems like teams didn't find him a good fit in all of the changes they were making, and he seems to have taken a hiatus from CS after he was removed / left the team. And recently I've seen him play with some of his mostly friends or young players from Sweden that he went to a LAN tournament with. So I think this is a great opportunity for him, to show what he's got, maybe, put some spotlight on himself. And if teams are still contemplating some roster changes, maybe North American teams as well, we see more and more players from the EU going over there to play, maybe he'll get a good offer.
That's the first thing that you kind of think about, is that in his mind, this must be just like, okay, it's my big chance now to show something, right? Because he's been cast out into the wild for months now. Yeah, you're right. I mean, he was like playing in tournaments like Yogi Yala, which was put on by Fragbite. I mean, like a tiny, just kind of like open tournament, right? It's like pug stuff, basically, is what he's been doing, along with the stream. And so right now he's probably thinking, I mean, this is probably his lifeline. Like they cast it out from the ship, CS:GO, the tier 1 CS:GO ship, right? The cruise liner, it's sailing away into the distance, and he's trying to grab hold, and he might slip, he might not. Right, he might slip off the line and vanish under the waves and never to be seen again, or he might be able to haul himself up and actually show something and show that he's capable of still playing it with the best. Right, I've heard everybody's heard so many different stories about this guy. Like as far as he's too energetic, he's too confrontational, he doesn't get along well, toxic or rager, right, and then in game, right. I mean,
I do want to say we did have that video of his mother saying that he's a nice guy. So
I know which video you watched today.
we should take that into account. That matters.
But right now, I'm just wondering, is he going to be solid enough? Because if he comes, I'm assuming when he comes back onto NIP that he's going to be filling the op role, right? And the way that he has or used to or always seemed to fill the op role, and when he did it best is when he had the maximum amount of room to work with, right? That he's able to do what he wants and go and hunt, go for flashy plays, take those peaks, right? But a lot of that, I think, relies on him having the freedom to do that. And will he have that freedom in Threats NIP world, right? Because it's a totally different NIP from the NIP that he played with in 2014, right? And also, will he have the confidence to do that? Because in order to play that super flash, that flash style, right, you have to believe, I'm a wreck this fool. Like, I am going to destroy everybody on this server, and there's nobody who's good enough to beat me, right? If you're going to play the super aggressive style. And so I wonder if, with all of these kind of concerns that might be weighing on him, oh shit, this is my last chance, and I have to play well, and but they've got this structure, how do I play in the structure? Like all these things, is he going to be able to just sit down and actually op and play to the level that we've seen him do in the past, right? I mean, what do you think, Yanko?
I mean, I wouldn't take it too far as saying, this is his last chance, last ship. If he doesn't do anything here, he's done. He can tank his mouse and everything. I do agree with you that, he plays his best when he has room to play with, when he can do pretty much whatever he feels like. And that's something that, didn't suit NIP when they were playing with him. That's the reason why he got removed, even if they had some good results with him in the lineup. So, all things considered, I think that there's also a thin line between confidence and arrogancy. I mean, being arrogant, pretty much. So it's going to be difficult for him, not playing on this level for a while, to maintain that play style with really, just believing that he's better than everyone else, because, I don't really think he is at this point. So it's going to be interesting to see how they try and balance it out between how they play now under threat and also what Michaela's strong suits are individually, which is being more of a loose cannon,
I reached out to Get Right real quick as well when the news came out. I was just asking a question, do you guys have any plans for him? Is he going to go back to the op, right? Because I was just curious. And he's just like, the guys who join as stand-ins, they have freedom to do what they want. So if he wants to op, he's probably going to be opping. It sounds to me like Nip right now are probably going to try and give him the best sort of scenario possible for a stand-in, which is, we'll play as this 4-man group over here in a bit more of a structured way, and then you get to have freedom to do what you want. We'll try and work it out together, right?
Which is the best way to go about it. If you look at FaZe, once he had to take a step back and allow Fox to be the primary operator, that's where really his usefulness was limited, so to speak, right? He looked like he was lost in that team from that point on.
Yeah, I mean, so what does it do overall for an IP? That's what I'm wondering, right? Because they had obviously Pith be out in one other tournament. Was that during E-League?
That was Columbus, right? When they got through.
Oh, was it? Oh, yeah. That's right. Where Threat was playing instead, right?
Glorious return of the bear.
Yeah, so it's and that obviously that was tons of fun to watch, but the problem obviously becomes it looks like it's becoming hard for an IP to keep the same sort of 5 group of people and practice with them for a long time. Not that it's necessarily Pith's fault, but they keep having to find other people to stand in. Like, I'm wondering if that impacts how they feel. Like, from personally speaking, I would find it hard to be very motivated over like a period of 2 or 3 months if half the time I'm playing with not the full lineup, and like if it happens once or twice, you could say, well, let's get by, we'll make it work. But after a while, it must be annoying to have to deal with that. So,
I mean, if anything, it also gives a chance to NIP to try out some new stuff. I mean, under the excuse that they have a stand-in, so to speak, to try playing more loosely, which is something that they definitely need, because the style that they adopted under Threat, it worked great for them, but people started figuring them out now. So I think they can definitely make use of this period, if anything else. And the biggest thing about Disco Doppeln, I mean, it's not like they got into a fight or anything between him and NIP. It's just that it started taking too much of his time from his own team, Epsilon,
right.
Of course. And now they're supposed to go to Kiev as well, which is like a 6-day tournament, so he will have to travel with them. That's just a time that they can't afford to lose as a team. So it makes more sense for them to pick someone who doesn't really have as many commitments. That's more of a free agent, so to speak.
That's it, right? It's kind of just like, okay, who have we played with, who can work with it, that I think is going to come to the fore. I was distracted by the chat, though. Damn, what was I going to say?
Never read Twitch chat. Never do it.
Oh, I know. Yes, my forehead is shiny like a diamond. What was it?
I'll help you out. I have a small point. Like, I'm not sure what's actually Pitt's, like how severe his injury is, but maybe a good thing for NIP, besides the Starlighter thing, they only have like 1 game tomorrow before that in Pro League. So if he gets better after the Starlighter thing, then they didn't miss out on him on as many games.
I mean, I just wanted to give my opinion on where Nip are right now in general as a whole, it feels. Since Bjorn, right, since Nip have taken over, or he's taken the reins of Nip over this whole months-long period, this span now, it feels like Nip, they were so used to the free, loose kind of style where they were just looking for duels, right? The old Nip, right? The Nip of old, that when they got Threat, they felt like, right, okay, now we have to play, we have to go completely the other way, where we have to play super static, super like tactical, right? This is the plan. Everybody knows what the plan is. All the pieces fall into place, right? But the problem is that if you get stuck in that, if they get figured out, if teams start to figure out how you play that and counter you, what's next? And it feels like right now Nip have gone so far the other way towards the tactical side of things that when it's required of them to play the loose, aim, confidence kind of style of game where it's just like, actually, we do have to take some duels and be spontaneous here, that they seem to struggle a little bit in that sort of scenario. They seem to lack a little bit of the confidence that they had, the confidence of old that allowed them to just walk around corners and rip people's heads off. So right now it feels to me like the best teams, or at least the best team, right, SK, they've found that happy medium, that marriage between the tactics and the loose and having the confidence to make it all work. Navi are another example. Even though I got shut down by Starix when I was proposing this theory to him, off topic, right, but conversation with Starix, and I was just like, it feels to me like you got, you, SK, like you found this marriage, between the two, loose style, tactical style. He was like, what are you talking about? We don't have tactics. I think he was feeling a little down. He was maybe feeling like a little frustrated, but he was just like, we don't have tactics. They just play loose. I was like, all right, bro.
I mean, the best example of Navi using that, change of pace, so to speak, which I think is the most important thing in Tier 1 Counter-Strike, is probably Columbus and the semifinal against Astralis. Anders probably remembers this game. They got off to such a strong start on their T side simply by taking Astralis off guard in their first gun round after winning pistol. They would just go for a fast execute. And Astralis was like there with grenades in their hands, just waiting for Navi to go for their slow default.
Yeah.
And they were down 5-0 or 6-0 in like, 10 minutes pretty much. So you could see how by doing something like that your opponents don't really expect, it can work wonders for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see how that's going to play out for NiP in the future when it comes to having Michael on there, because it seemed like they weren't able to control him the last time, and now he's just a stand-in. So maybe like you said, they won't even try. They're just going to let him do crazy things and then try and play around it. Speaking of crazy people, Simple obviously managed to join Navi. So what do we make of that?
We're going to get into that, Anders. But first,
all right,
I'm going to stop you right there. I'm going to let you finish. But first,
right, Kanye,
we need to play a video.
Come on.
I'm that guy. Get out of
Here. At the casting desk.
Neatly across Kirby now in a 1 versus 4. Oh my goodness! Oh, Kirby with 3! Are you going to pull off the racket play? Kirby gets the clutch! Are you serious?
So in case you missed the beginning of the stream, in case you missed 2 minutes into the stream, thought I'd play it again. Just love the video. I've literally had the music stuck in my head since Phil showed it to me the other day, and I just keep whistling it. So I mean, there you guys go. That's the latest news regarding Room on Fire. We're doing this podcast. We started off talking about it. VOD will be released. Don't worry. So in case you're tuning in late, you missed the show, be sure to go to the YouTube. We'll be loading up the VOD of the state of CS there. And all of our VOD content comes out there now as well, all the vlogs, everything like that. So be sure to sub to the YouTube, and you'll be able to follow all the shows that we do. But all right, moving into the next topic then. Sorry about that, Anders. Cut you off. I was so rude. But
I'm all right.
Navi, Simple joins the roster. And I mean, that's like general opinions already to start things off. I mean, this has been a talked about topic, right? And they have played some games since. So do we feel like it's working out, or do we feel like there's more? I mean, what do we think?
I mean, I kind of liked the way that Navi were with Zeus, and I think he has so much experience, and I think obviously Simple is a better player in the game, but I always worry about Simple's sort of mental state of mind. I like the new Simple idea. I'd love it if new Simple stayed new Simple, but I always have to say I want to see it. I want to see it for it to be true. So I don't know about you, Yango, but for me it's always a big question mark as to whether or not he can keep himself under control.
Yeah, I feel the same, but from what we could tell early on, and there was that Guardian tweet as well, saying that he as well was expecting for Simple to just run around and hunt people to kill them and everything, but he said that he's a great teammate all around. So if that truly is the case, and if that can remain as such for an extended period of time, I think Navi will be probably the biggest contender to take down SK as the best team in the world, alongside probably Godsent maybe after a while, and a couple of other teams, because when you look at it on paper, they have so much firepower on that team between Guardian, Flamey, and Simple now. You add Seized and Edward, who on and off, they can also take over a game every now and then, pretty much. Edward, an extremely experienced player, good clutch player. They have everything, great toppers, great pistol players, great understanding of the game, and under Starek's great leadership.
Well, just to touch up on that, because I think you're right. Guardian did say that, but this is something that I've noticed around. I think this actually happened to Michael that we were just talking about. as well. You join a new, like when Michael joined NiP, obviously everyone said, well, he's got a reputation as being toxic. Maybe he's going to, be that way. But I think when you join a new team, especially if it's a really big team of like star players that have achieved a lot, there's a tendency, I think, in the beginning to be very quiet. Like if you're the sort of player who will complain about things and generally start fight with teammates and stuff like that, you're not going to do it in the first 2 weeks. You're gonna delay it a little bit. And when you feel comfortable, when you know people, when you've been playing with them for a while, that's when it starts to sort of.
That's when you strike, Anders.
That's when you strike, exactly.
I wonder.
So I worry about that,
I wonder as well because it's to me it seems like there's an additional element here, which is the fact that Simple is also good friends with a couple of the players on the team. Seized in particular, it's like every event where both of the teams are at, it's basically Simple chilling out with Seized and whoever else, right? So I mean, I wonder as well if there's an. It makes sense to say like a Hiko element there, where it's just like he's got a friend on the team who like goes past the game. I mean, obviously there's very little that Simple can criticize. I think of the team itself. I mean, like these are top tier. You basically the best in his region. There's no higher to go than where Navi are at right now. And so when it comes to criticizing the team or doing that, I think that even Simple would find it difficult, unless it is true that he gets taken over by some demon that basically just he sees red, can't see anything out. Basically sees NA players everywhere he looks at that point, regardless of who's sitting next to him, and he's just he has to try and throttle them. I mean, that's
honestly
I wonder.
I think that's a good point, though. Seeing NA players as demons and everywhere. I think after spending some time in North America, he actually really will appreciate playing back in Europe now. Pretty much.
That's a good point.
I mean,
and he needs the money. Didn't he just buy a Rolex or something? He was putting that on Twitter. I mean, he's got to be slightly crazy. Come on. Who does that?
Well, second place money gone now, of course.
I mean, obviously Liquid put a lot of, like, they were obviously training, right? And North America is moving towards that day schedule. But Navi are already far along into that day schedule, right? That schedule that basically the professional teams, the top professional teams in Europe have started to switch over to, which is you start prac around 10, 11 a.m. instead of starting prac at 5 or 6 in the PM like they used to do when everybody had a day job and this wasn't their full-time occupation. Now, if you're at the top of the food chain, you're getting a salary. CSGO is your job. And it seems like teams are starting to take that to heart, and they've finally made that switch over to getting their prac done during the day in a bit more of a structured manner. And that I feels like that could be something that could help Simple as well. He's coming right into a very structured environment with a team that are trying to look for the best and be pros. It could definitely help, I think, bring him around to, okay, right, now this is serious. This is really serious business. Not saying that obviously he wasn't trying to make it work with Liquid, et cetera, in the past, but it feels like this is a different thing. Also, countrymen in a way, right? I mean, the same region, speaks the same language, doesn't have to struggle with English anymore. Maybe that'll be less frustrating for him. I mean, it could definitely be interesting. 15K Rolex confirmed on Periscope. Okay, then.
Easy life. But yeah, jokes aside, I really do feel that he matured in the last 6 months as a person, right? Having those experiences, qualifying for Columbus, then the big run at Columbus, then also Cologne. I think he has changed, definitely, but I feel that we will have to wait for Navi to hit, a hard period where they will maybe drop out earlier than they're supposed to, maybe have a couple of close losses because of some silly mistakes. That's where your personality really gets tested.
So what is this new Simple version 2? Is that it? Can we?
I don't want to go with that. I don't care.
I think it's
there's been new Simple so many times. I think we can just call it, Navi Simple.
No, guys, it's simple. Simple. Well, it is simple, but it's simple as well, right? That he embodies the struggle, the human struggle, right? The day-to-day. You're constantly having to renew yourself, right? To change, to adapt to surroundings, changing circumstances. I mean, it is the battle that every man faces his entire life long. And so Simple for me will always be hashtag new Simple, right?
Yeah,
because he embodies the best in us.
Probably a small difference. Not every man can afford a 15K Rolex.
I was going to say.
At the end of the day,
That was going to be my point. That's not like an everyman type struggle, not to spend 15,000 on Rolex.
Mental battle. If you guys want to go towards the material, if you can't live in the now, and really, accept the present.
Hey, I'm all about the material. That's what I'm saying. Got it all worked out. Got my glasses on. I'm ready.
Dude, those actually fit you too. I'm gonna get you a pair of sunglasses, legit sunglasses with that shape. They are.
They are comfortable. It's very hard to see anything out of them, so just, I'm going to only wear them inside where I can't hurt myself. No biking or anything going on like that. Right. So is there anything else? Anything else we want to touch on? I feel like we've managed to cover Simple a little bit here. I'm super excited. I do think it's true, though. The amount of firepower alone, like if Simple can just not tear up the team, then yeah, they're going to be incredible. So it's obviously going to be so much fun to see them play as well, I think.
I agree. I mean, I think like he really, because Zeus, a little bit of struggle. I mean, a struggle individually, I think, for quite some time. And so Na'Vi now they've just brought in this killer, this monster, basically into the roster who can fill any role. Pistols, rifles, ops, difficult positions, easy positions, doesn't matter. You put Simple there, you're going to get a result, right? And a good one. And so now, yeah, I think that is definitely going to be a very solid and scary Na'Vi that we're going to have our hands on, or that we're going to have our hands on. Oh yes, no, that are going to be on our hands, right? So for the players, that is. So good times, and yeah, I mean, I think this is a good start to the podcast, to like getting everything flowing again. Just about an hour long. I think that's good. So
yeah, someone was asking earlier, what's the schedule? And obviously the one big if for this schedule of this show is that, whenever we go to tournaments, it can be slightly more tricky, but how often are we planning to release?
Well, weekly.
Weekly, right. Yeah, that's
weekly is the goal. And another thing that we're trying to discuss and figure out right now, guys, is that it might not always be Anders, myself, Yanko on the show. Or it might be a combination of Room on Fire guys, whoever's not at an event, or if at an event we can set it up so that we can do the show. I mean, we're going to try and make this weekly, and we're really trying to stick to that. So, stay tuned. Be sure to sub to the YouTube, and because that's where the VODs are going to be. Follow us on Twitch so you can watch it live, and just have a great rest of the week. I mean, it's Hump Day, always a good day, and we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys later. Take care. Don't say anything. I'm playing pretty out here.
Here at the casting desk.
He gets dropped. Kirby now in a 1 versus 4. Oh my goodness! Oh, Kirby with 3! Are you going to pull off the racket play? Kirby gets the clutch! Are you serious?